Listen closely, and the fjord begins to speak. Here, geology is not static history, but a slow, relentless force still at work. Milford Sound is carved primarily from hard Precambrian gneiss and schist, some of the oldest rocks in New Zealand, forged more than 500 million years ago, deep within the Earth's crust. During the last glacial maximum, colossal valley glaciers flowed seaward from the southern Alps, grinding these rocks into steep-sided walls and over-deepening the valley far below present sea level. When the climate warmed and the ice retreated, seawater rushed in, creating not a sound but a true fjord where the ocean floods a glacial valley. Even today, the land continues to rebound upward from the loss of that immense ice weight, a process known as isostatic uplift, subtly reshaping the landscape millimeter by millimeter. Above the waterline, life clings where it seems impossible. Milford Sound's staggering rainfall, averaging between 6,000 and 7,000 millimeters annually, feeds a temperate rainforest that thrives vertically along the cliffs. Trees grow sideways, roots gripping sheer rock faces, sustained by constant mist and waterfalls that bloom and vanish with every storm. Silver beech forests dominate the lower slopes, while mosses, lichens, and filmy ferns form emerald tapestries higher up, some species unchanged since the age of Gondwana. Botanists consider Fiordland a living fossil record, one of the world's most intact temperate ecosystems. Beneath the surface, another secret world unfolds. A dark freshwater layer, stained tea-brown by tannins from the forest, floats atop denser seawater, blocking sunlight from penetrating the depths. This creates a rare phenomenon: deep-sea organisms living at shallow levels. Black coral trees, some over 200 years old, grow just meters below the surface, alongside sponges and anemones normally found hundreds of meters down. It is one of the few places on Earth where scientists can study abyssal ecosystems without submersibles, making Milford Sound globally significant for marine research. For Ngai Tahu, the Maori iwi of the South Island, Piopiotahi is not simply scenery, it is Wakapapa genealogy. According to tradition, this fjord was the final masterpiece of Tutaraki Wanoa, whose careful shaping created safe waters rich in kai, fish, and birds to sustain future generations. The solitary Piopio bird that mourned Maui's death gives the place its name, a reminder that beauty and loss are inseparable threads in Maori cosmology. These stories are not metaphor alone, they guide stewardship. Today, Ngai Tahu co-manage the land with the Crown, embedding indigenous knowledge into conservation, tourism limits, and species protection. Wildlife thrives where protection is strict. New Zealand fur seals haul out on sun-warmed rocks, recovering from near extinction after 19th century sealing. Fiordland crested penguins, one of the world's rarest penguin species, nest in forest shadows, while Kia, the alpine parrot famed for its intelligence, patrols cliff edges with curious eyes. Bottlenose dolphins, genetically distinct from other New Zealand populations, remain year-round residents, their presence an indicator of the fjord's health. Marine biologists monitor them closely, as increasing vessel traffic and climate-driven changes in prey pose growing challenges. And so Milford Sound becomes more than a destination. It becomes a mirror. It reflects Earth as it once was, as it is, and as it might yet be. A place where ice-shaped stone, rain sustains forests, culture protects nature, and silence carries meaning. To journey here is to step briefly into deep time, to feel small without feeling insignificant. When the mist thickens and the waterfalls whisper their final notes, remember this: Piopiotahi does not ask to be conquered or consumed. It asks only to be witnessed, respected, and left whole. The fjord endures, and in its quiet power. It invites us to endure more wisely too. And as the bow cuts deeper into the fjord, the landscape begins to feel less like geography and more like myth made tangible. Te Waipunamū, the place of greenstone, is one of the last great intact temperate wildernesses on Earth, recognized by UNESCO not only for its dramatic beauty, but for its unparalleled scientific value. This 2.6 million hectare World Heritage Site protects a complete record of Gondwanan evolution, where plants and animals trace lineages back over 80 million years to the breakup of the ancient supercontinent. Milford Sound sits at its wettest, wildest heart. Moisture-laden westerlies slam into the southern Alps, rising abruptly and cooling, releasing torrents of rain that sculpt the cliffs anew with every storm. In a single day, more than 250 millimeters can fall, enough to awaken hundreds of ephemeral waterfalls that exist only for hours, cascading like silver threads down sheer stone before vanishing again. Scientists call this an orographic rainfall engine. Locals simply call it magic. Yet this is not an empty wilderness. Long before charts and compasses, Maori navigators reached this coast guided by stars, currents, and oral knowledge passed across generations. For Ngai Tahu, Piopiotahi is a sacred taonga, a treasure, woven into Wakapapa, their ancestral genealogy. The fjord was a place of seasonal travel, food gathering, and spiritual power. Punamū, greenstone, was sought along nearby rivers, prized for tools and ceremonial objects, and traded across Aotearoa. The landscape itself was read like a living text, waterfalls as signs, bird calls as omens, tides as rhythms to respect. Even today, Ngai Tahu Tikanga, customary values, inform conservation decisions, ensuring tourism does not sever the cultural lifelines embedded in the land. Wildlife emerges as the mist thins. New Zealand fur seals lounge on sunlit rocks near Seal Rock, descendants of survivors from the brutal sealing era that nearly wiped them out by the 1830s. Overhead, sooty shearwaters, Taiti, slice through the air, migrating thousands of kilometers each year between hemispheres. Beneath the surface, Milford Sound's unique freshwater layer creates a dim, twilight zone where ancient black corals grow astonishingly shallow, some colonies predating European arrival by centuries. Marine biologists regard this fjord as a global anomaly, a natural laboratory revealing how life adapts to extremes. And through it all, modern stewardship holds the line. Strict vessel quotas, speed limits to protect dolphins, wastewater controls, and predator eradication programs work quietly behind the scenes. Tourism operators partner with the Department of Conservation and Ngai Tahu to ensure that every wake, every footstep, leaves the lightest possible trace. Here, ecotourism is not branding, it is survival strategy. So as the cliffs close in and waterfalls breathe cold mist across the deck, understand what you are entering. This is not merely a scenic cruise, it is a passage through deep time, living culture, and fragile balance. A place where legends still echo, where wildlife still thrives against the odds, and where humanity has so far chosen restraint over conquest. The fjord does not shout its power, it whispers it, and those who listen never forget. This legend is not poetic embellishment, it is a core strand of Maori cosmology, and in Fiordland it is treated with the same gravity as geology. In Ngai Tahu tradition, Tuteraki Wanoa was not merely a sculptor of landscapes, but a culture hero whose task was to make Te Waipunamū, the South Island, habitable for humans. Before his work, the southwest coast was believed to be a chaotic wall of rock, hostile to waka and life alike. Using Tehamo, his sacred adze, and empowered by Karakia passed down from the Atwa, he carved deep, narrow inlets into the stone, each cut intentional, each fjord aligned to shelter canoes from the Tasman Sea's violence. The straight walls and immense depths of Milford Sound are, in this worldview, evidence of deliberate design rather than random erosion. When Tutaraki Wanoa reached Piopiotahi, however, the balance shifted. This fjord was said to be his masterpiece, the final and most perfect expression of his craft. Its symmetry, towering cliffs, and abundance of food made it dangerously alluring. Hinenwitepo, Atua of death and guardian of the boundary between worlds, intervened not out of malice, but necessity. In Maori cosmology, humans are not meant to remain forever in one place. Life is movement, duty, and balance. The release of Tanamu, sandflies, was therefore a corrective force, a reminder that even paradise must be temporary. The name Piopiotahi deepens this spiritual gravity. It refers to the lone Piopio, a small forest bird now extinct, whose mournful flight to the fjord followed the death of Maui Tikitikia Taranga, the great trickster, demigod. Maui's final act, an attempt to defeat death by entering the body of Hainanui Tepo and emerging reborn, failed when the Piopio laughed, waking her and sealing Maui's fate. In mourning, the bird is said to have flown south to this remote fjord, where its sorrow became bound to the land itself. That the Piopio vanished entirely in the 20th century, driven to extinction by introduced predators, adds a haunting resonance to the name, transforming Piopiotahi into a place of layered loss and remembrance. Today, this cultural meaning is not symbolic alone. It carries legal and ethical weight. Under the Ngai Tahu Claims Settlement Act of 1998, Piopiotahi is formally recognized as a site of profound spiritual importance. Ngai Tahu retain Kaitia Kitanga, guardianship, alongside the New Zealand government, influencing conservation policy, visitor behavior, and ecological restoration. This is why place names are increasingly dual-used, why cultural narratives are integrated into park interpretation, and why certain areas remain off-limits. The land is not a commodity, but an ancestor. To stand in Milford Sound, then, is to occupy a meeting point of forces: ice and adze, tectonics and karakia, extinction and stewardship. The cliffs do not merely rise, they remember. The sandflies do not merely bite, they warn. And the silence that follows the waterfalls carries an older truth than any map can show. Here, legend is not opposed to science. It runs alongside it, deep, enduring, and alive. As we sail deeper, the fjord reveals one of its most captivating inhabitants, the bottlenose dolphins of Piopiotahi, among the best-studied and most reliable dolphin populations in New Zealand. Milford Sound is home to a small resident pod of approximately 50 to 65 bottlenose dolphins, scientifically identified as Tursiops truncatus. Unlike many coastal dolphin groups that migrate seasonally, this pod remains in the fjord year-round, a rarity driven by Milford's Tomtkiln. Unique oceanography. Individuals reach 3.5 to 4 meters in length and can weigh up to 500 kilograms, with lifespans exceeding 40 years. Some known individuals have been observed across multiple generations through dorsal fin identification. Behaviorally, these dolphins live in fission-fusion societies, one of the most complex social systems in the animal kingdom. Group compositions change fluidly throughout the day, depending on feeding, mating, calf care, and play. In Milford Sound, researchers from the University of Otago and the Department of Conservation have documented high levels of affiliative behavior, synchronized swimming, tactile contact, and prolonged bow riding, suggesting the fjord functions not just as a feeding ground, but as a social nursery. Bow riding is not random play. Studies indicate it conserves energy, strengthens social bonds, and may even serve as a form of cognitive stimulation. The dolphin's echolocation clicks and signature whistles, amplified by the woo. Fjord's steep granite walls create a natural acoustic chamber, an environment believed to enhance communication efficiency and calf learning in the low-light, tannin-stained waters. Milford's dolphins are not alone. Dusky dolphins, Lagonorhynchus obscurus, smaller and more athletic, appear seasonally near the fjord entrance, famous for their high-speed spins and aerial somersaults. On rarer occasions, orcas, killer whales, New Zealand's Type A and B ecotypes, are sighted patrolling the outer reaches, hunting rays or seals. These apex predators move through swiftly, a reminder of the larger Southern Ocean ecosystem intersecting here. What sustains this marine richness is Milford Sound's deep water estuarine system. Freshwater runoff from extreme rainfall forms a dark surface layer only a few meters thick, pushing marine nutrients upward from depths exceeding 200 meters. This process fuels plankton blooms, anchovies, and squid, which in turn support fish, seals, and dolphins. It is one of the few places on Earth where deep-sea species can thrive within meters of the surface, making encounters unusually frequent. Strict protections are in place to safeguard this fragile balance. Under dock regulations, vessels must maintain low speeds, limit interaction time, and never cross a dolphin's path. These measures are not symbolic. Milford's bottlenose population is classified as nationally vulnerable, with low reproductive rates and high sensitivity to disturbance. To witness dolphins here is not a spectacle. It is participation in a finely tuned system where geology, water chemistry, and animal intelligence converge. Their presence is both joyous and cautionary, a sign of ecological health and a reminder of how easily it could be lost. In Piopiotahi, even play carries meaning. As our voyage approaches its crescendo, Milford Sound's defining masterpiece reveals itself. The waterfalls, not as isolated features, but as a living system born of extreme climate, glacial geology, and gravity itself. Nowhere else on Earth do waterfalls perform with such scale, frequency, and intimacy. Bowen Falls, the fjord's most powerful permanent cascade, plunges 162 meters from a hanging valley carved by retreating glaciers in the Darren Mountains. Fed by alpine rainfall and snowmelt rather than a single river, its volume fluctuates dramatically, thundering after storms, whispering in drier spells. Beyond spectacle, Bowen Falls plays a critical ecological role. It delivers oxygen-rich freshwater that helps sustain the fjord's unique low-salinity surface layer, and it once powered a hydroelectric plant supplying Milford Sound's early settlement, an early example of remote renewable energy use. Opposite it stands Sterling Falls, a near-equal rival at 155 meters, dropping from a classic U-shaped glacial valley. Named after Captain Frederick Sterling, who surveyed the area in 1871, its flow often fans outward mid-descent, atomizing into mist before reaching the fjord. This dispersion creates localized wind currents, noticeable gusts generated purely by falling water. The Maori association of Sterling Falls with renewal and youth is echoed today in the famed Glacial facial, where vessels carefully approach the base, allowing passengers to feel the spray. Water that may have fallen as snow centuries earlier, compressed and preserved in alpine ice. Yet the true magic of Piopiotahi lies in what appears only after rain. With annual precipitation exceeding 6.8 meters, the fjord's vertical walls transform into a phenomenon locals call the Thousand Falls. These are not fed by rivers, but by saturated rock faces, thin sheets of water spilling over cliffs, tracing fractures in the granite and schist. Some plunge hundreds of meters, Others dissolve into mist mid-air, never touching the fjord below. Geologists describe this as orographic release, rainfall driven upward by steep terrain, then redistributed across near-vertical surfaces. Among these ephemeral cascades are intimate favorites. Fairy Falls near the entrance drops about 50 meters, its fine spray often catching sunlight to form rainbows in calm conditions. The Four Sisters, a symmetrical quartet visible only after sustained rain, descend side by side like liquid ribbons, gone within hours once skies clear. Their impermanence is precisely their power. No two visits ever reveal the same arrangement. From an ecological perspective, these waterfalls sustain the fjord's marine anomaly. Freshwater runoff forms a dark, tannin-stained surface layer just 2 to 10 meters thick, shielding deep-sea corals and black coral forests, normally found hundreds of meters below, from harmful sunlight. This rare vertical compression of ecosystems is why Milford Sound supports deep ocean species at snorkel depth, an almost unheard-of phenomenon globally. To witness Milford's waterfalls is to see climate, geology, and time interacting in real time. They are not monuments frozen in place, but dynamic expressions of a living system, appearing, vanishing, reshaping the fjord with every storm. Here, water does not merely fall. It remembers, renews, and redefines the land, again and again. This immersion is not merely exhilarating. It is a living case study in how conservation and tourism can coexist when guided by science, policy, and cultural stewardship. Fiordland National Park, spanning 1.2 million hectares, larger than some entire countries, is one of the most rigorously protected wilderness areas on the planet. Managed by New Zealand's Department of Conservation, DOC, it operates under a precautionary philosophy. Human presence is permitted, but never at the expense of ecological integrity. Access to Milford Sound is tightly controlled. Commercial vessel numbers are capped, boat sizes are regulated to prevent shoreline erosion and wildlife disturbance, and daily visitor limits, approximately 5,000 during peak season, are enforced to avoid the over-tourism seen in other global icons. Engines must meet strict emission standards. Noise thresholds are monitored to reduce stress on marine mammals, and approach distances to dolphins and seals are legally enforced under the Marine Mammals Protection Act. At the operational level, Milford has become a global benchmark for low-impact marine tourism. Companies such as Southern Discoveries, Real NZ, and Cruise Milford have invested heavily in hybrid electric and low-emission vessels, reducing fuel consumption by roughly 20% and dramatically cutting carbon output in a region with no grid connection. Some newer vessels operate in near-silent mode within the fjord, minimizing acoustic pollution in waters where dolphins rely on echolocation and penguins navigate underwater by sound. But conservation here goes far beyond boats and regulations. It reaches into the forest canopy and the soil itself. Fiordland's ecosystems evolved without mammalian predators, making native species catastrophically vulnerable to introduced threats like stoats, rats, and possums. In response, tourism operators actively fund and participate in predator control programs, supporting DOC's vision of predator-free 2050. These efforts are critical for iconic and endangered species such as the takahe, kaka, kiwi, and the elusive Fiordland crested penguin, whose global population numbers only in the thousands. Community-driven initiatives amplify this impact. Kids Restore the Kepler, a youth-led conservation program, engages local students in trapping invasive species, restoring native plant corridors, and conducting biodiversity surveys, embedding environmental guardianship, or kaitiakitanga, into the next generation. Meanwhile, the Fiordland Conservation Trust channels public and private funding into large-scale projects, including kiwi recovery programs, alpine research, and long-term ecosystem monitoring across one of the world's most remote temperate rainforests. In 2025, the New Zealand government reinforced this commitment with a NNZ's $15.2 million investment, upgrading the Milford Road to improve safety and reduce sediment runoff, modernizing visitor facilities to minimize waste and energy use, and expanding biodiversity monitoring using acoustic sensors, camera traps, and satellite data. These tools allow scientists to track species recovery in real time, ensuring management decisions remain evidence-based rather than reactive. The result is a rare equilibrium, over 1 million visitors a year, yet ecosystems that are stabilizing, and in some areas, rebounding. Milford Sound proves that ecotourism, when carefully governed, can be more than sustainable. It can be regenerative, directly funding the protection of the very landscapes that inspire awe. Here, every journey becomes a contribution. Every ticket helps restore a forest. Every quiet engine preserves a songline of dolphins and birds. Milford Sound does not ask us to conquer nature. It teaches us how to belong within it. As the spray settles and the fjord's whispers soften into silence, Milford Sound, Piopiotahi, etches itself into the soul. This is not merely a place you visit, it is a presence you carry with you long after the mist has lifted. Here, stone remembers ice, water remembers time, and legend remembers humanity's place within the natural order. The cliffs stand as guardians of deep time, the rain as a storyteller, the sea as both mirror and memory. In Piopiotahi, nature's power is inseparable from Maori wisdom. The land is not owned, it is entrusted. Every waterfall, every echoing bird call, every ripple beneath the hull speaks of Kaitiakitanga, guardianship passed from ancestors to descendants, now shared with all who arrive willing to listen. This harmony between people, policy, and planet is not accidental. It is chosen, protected, renewed every day through restraint, respect, and reverence. To sail these waters is to be reminded that wonder does not demand conquest. To stand beneath these cliffs is to feel small and grateful. To leave is to understand that preservation is not the absence of humans, but the presence of responsibility. So heed the call of Milford Sound. Sail lightly, honor the legends. Move as a guest, not a master. Because places like this do not belong to us. They shape us. New Zealand's jewel awaits, not to be consumed, but to be remembered. Thank you for sharing this fjord fantasy. Subscribe for more journeys into Earth's last great wonders. Until next time, let the waters renew you.